The way I think there needs to be more God in the world, because if that was more of an emphasis and a strong family unit, there would be a lot less divorce.
Yeah.
Right? We can cancel out the conversation of why or what should happen during divorce proceedings with custody and child support and all that. Let's just not even get to that point. Let's just not get divorced.
Yeah.
Right? When you pop that question, that man should do everything in his power to protect and lead his family, and divorce shouldn't even be an option.
Yeah.
If he's doing his job correctly.
Yeah.
Right?
I think people have gotten really laxed on the concept of marriage. Everybody knows the divorce rate's at least 50%, right? That's just like
That's
common
crazy.
knowledge. But the question is, well, what are the other variables? So if you're going to conduct a study, you can't just look at that one variable. So like nowadays, that statistic is actually going down. The divorce rate is going down. But it's not because people are staying together, it's because less people are getting married.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at all of those variables too. If the divorce rate is so high, okay, well, what changed? What made it? People didn't just start saying, oh, let's get divorced for fun. It's the lack of having the same reason for getting married. Back in the day, you used to get married because of religious institutions.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is a religious practice.
Yeah, 100%.
Not just for Christians.
Yeah.
All the major religions, all the major Abrahamic religions of the world have a very strong institution of marriage. But a culture adopted that, and people started seeing what? Hollywood. Let's get married. Let's, have this fairy tale romance where fireworks go off in the background when we kiss, and you kiss in the rain and fall in love, and you leave your wife and I'll leave my husband and we'll live happily ever after.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
our life will just look like a movie.
Yeah.
That's not real either. That's more propaganda. That's more feeding us lies, thinking that marriage is some just Hollywood show.
Marriage is hard work. It's going to be the hardest thing ever.
But it also bleeds into dating. Because then you have people who are out there dating to find a Hollywood fairy tale.
Well, I think
what
that...
do you hear people say on Love is Blind? I'm here to find love. What does that mean? Where are you looking for it? You create love. You learn to love. You grow to love. Love is action. Love is not something you go searching for in the sand.
Yeah, you're right. Love is a choice. Love is a feeling, but it's also a choice, because those feelings aren't going to last forever.
Right.
So going back to what I said before, when the chemistry and the infatuation or the honeymoon phase, it goes away, at that point, love is a choice. Mm-hmm. And women are more emotional. When those feelings start to fade away for a girl, it means a heck of a lot more for them than it would for us. Right? Because then you're like, oh, I'm not in love with my husband. You naturally start looking in other directions other than your husband. Right? So a man doesn't want to hear this, but he needs to be constantly dating and pursuing his wife as if they first met, so she can keep having those feelings over time.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you stop, she's going to lose those feelings, because she's an emotional creature. And then that's when things, from the woman's perspective, I think, start falling apart.
Yeah.
Now, the whole thing of dating to begin with before you even get married, men nowadays don't want to get married because there's less God in the world. So they're thinking about all the logical reasons to and to not get married. And logically, there's no reason for a man to get married because he has everything to lose.
Yeah.
Right? If you get divorced, you lose half your income. You see your kids half the time. You lose half your house. Everything you worked hard for your entire life is gone.
Yeah.
Right? But if you get married because this is two people bound by God, then, I feel like that marriage would work.
Yeah. So within the dating pool, or the dating world, for women, how do we know what guy is thinking that? I mean, how...
Who needs to say it?
I mean, but that's one thing. Actions speak way louder than words. Men show you who they are with their actions, not their words.
Well, this is where we go back to being nice guys and good men. Because good men will say something and they'll follow that up with actions. Or heck, a lot of the time, I don't even say anything I'm going to do. I'm just going to do it. You know? I don't... Obviously, like, when you have, like, the first couple of dates, like, you talk about yourselves and, like, what you do and what you're going to do, etc. But if you don't start following up with that as you start to hang out more with that, with actions, then you're a nice guy.
Yeah. Or you're not a nice guy.
Yeah, or just a lying turd.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a
There's a lot of those.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who have learned that there's a pretty much clear formula to get a girl or to get a girl in bed. And part of that is acting like you love everything about her and you want to marry her. And they can put on that act, and then push comes to shove and they ghost you, or they cheat on you, or they break up with you, or whatever, because that was never their intention in the first place. So that's my question, is like,
see, I don't know
you
anything.
Being a good man, how would you spot a guy that's not, that doesn't have those intentions in reality, no matter what he says?
I have a hard time answering that question because I don't associate with people that do that. So I consciously choose to only surround myself with people that are going to do the right thing, whether it's in business and dating or etc. Like, if I knew one of my friends that's a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter, is like cheating on their significant other, I don't want you in my life. Because if you're capable of doing that to a person that you look at every day, spend the majority of your life with, then it makes me think, all right, well, what are you capable of doing to me?
Right.
You know? And you're just like, overall, just not a good person.
Yeah.
I just choose not to have that in my life.
Yeah.
So I can definitely say, here's a good way to figure that stuff out. So you're going to know if you're talking to a nice guy or a good man when you meet his friends and family. Because you are who you surround yourself with. And you're going to be sort of like blinded if this guy is putting on a facade, right? But if you go see his friends and they're all douchebags,
Yeah.
then he's probably a douchebag.
Or if he doesn't have friends.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's a red flag to me if you don't have...
Well, y'all are talking to guys that don't have friends? That's kind of weird.
not like zero friends or like zero socializing, but like, yeah, I've dated some guys that they don't have what I have. They don't have what you have, of like solid, like a close circle, like an immediate close circle of the people that you confide in, that you lean on, friends that you've had since you were a teenager. And then your bigger circle of like your friends that you hang out with at parties or games or whatever. And in summary, that's a lot of people for me. That's a lot of people for you.
Yeah.
There are people, a lot of people, who don't have any of that. Like, they might have a friend here and there, like, oh yeah, so-and-so is my best friend. But not really. It's not like someone that they're constantly sharing intimate details of their life or hanging out with. I mean,
Yeah, that's going to be a red flag because, like, when you do start to, like, date that guy and if it gets serious, then he's going to be, like, extremely dependent on you because he's going to only want to hang out with you and your friends.
I think
not his own buddies.
It also leads to insecurity. Because I'm not that person. Like I said, I have a lot of friends, thank God. And so I have my own life. And I have a lot of people who like me. So if he has none of that, that'll make you feel insecure real quick. Your significant other has 12 bridesmaids and you have one guy.
Oh, that's true.
You know?
Yeah.
I had a guy say that to me once. Someone that I dated I really thought was like the love of my life. And he even said, like, you know, our wedding's going to be real lopsided. And at the time, that never clicked that was a red flag, because I was just like, well, I don't care. Like, it can be lopsided. But then I never really like thought deeper about like, wait, why doesn't he have any friends?
Yeah.
So, but yes, I agree.
That's a fair point. I didn't think of that.
If their friends are weird or sucky or whatever, or if they don't have them at all.
Yeah, y'all should just not talk. I mean, that's like a basic foundation. Like, if that dude doesn't have friends, then it's probably a very good reason for it. And there's like major red flags there.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't have friends, he's probably a boring dude. Like, who are you talking to? You're just like gonna come home and like talk to your dog or like look at the wall and talk to yourself? No, like
talk to hoes. That's what they do. They're always talking to hoes.
okay.
Sometimes that can be like, this is obviously news for you, but sometimes that can be hard to, it takes time to figure that out, because if they're smart, they talk about the people that are in their lives as if they're closer to them than they really are. So like, oh, someone tells my friend, or telling stories about friends and stuff like that, or oh, I went on this trip with these people. But like, it takes time to figure out that like, wait a minute, they're not friends the way that I'm thinking they're friends, you know? Or like the last guy that I really dated, his best friend like said so many horrible things about him after, and like opened the floodgates telling me all about this guy that I thought was completely somebody else. And he's like, no, I'll tell you who he really is. And like, that says a lot about you, that your own best friend will go to your ex-girlfriend and talk about you.
Yeah, it should be the opposite. Yeah, the boys should be going to bat for you no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, a good example, like
Or not talking to the girl at all.
Yeah, that too. Duh. But no, like I went to a group birthday dinner with my best friend's girlfriend. She was friends with one of my girlfriends. That sounded really bad. I didn't have multiple girlfriends at once.
One of your friends that's a girl.
No, girlfriends.
Ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And I left to use the restroom. And she was like, I swear he was cheating on me. That's why he broke up with me. And my boy was like, Blake absolutely did not cheat on you. Like, he is not capable of that. So don't even start. That rumor or whatever thought is going on in your head. And that's how your best friend as a man or girl should be too. Mm-hmm. So like, for that to be happening, that's very like major red flags.
Okay, so I feel like there's definitely a stigma or like a stereotype that girls are attracted to like the bad boy. Okay, so
okay,
and that's
so
kind of what I'm describing, of like that is a thing, like it does happen to us.
So define a bad boy.
The bad boy is going to be someone who's like very extroverted, very smooth with his words, like can kind of swindle you into thinking that he's somebody that he's not. He's hot. He puts on a facade of success, whether it's real or not. You think he's successful. But he's also kind of aloof or mysterious, not straightforward, like kind of makes you have to chase him a little bit. He might be a little rough around the edges, like maybe has a past of whatever, has been to jail or has a rough life.
I think there's like a couple of women that would describe me as that. So like, and it's not intentional. I'm just like, it's not intentional. Like there's one.
Maybe in your past.
No, there's one very specifically that would probably describe me of that.
As a bad boy?
Yeah, and she's trying to talk to me right now, and I've made it clear that I'm not interested. But
okay.
I guess she just doesn't care. But
see, if she thinks you're a bad boy, and you're denying her, like she's gonna go chase even harder, at least for a time. So my question is, do you think there's any like merit to that? Do you think that there's a reason for that? There has to be something about it, right, that attracts us to a bad boy versus a nice guy.
Maybe, I don't know, I'm not a chick. Maybe it's like kind of like we were talking about earlier, the lack of a good father in your household. Because if that's daddy's girl, he's like set such a bar high of what like a guy should be or treat you, to where like if this bad boy starts doing all that stuff, she shouldn't be attracted to it, right? Like I don't think if women are attracted to that, then there's some underlying things going on that y'all should probably fix. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think part of it is like
'Cause-
the chaos, at least for me. That's something I learned about myself, like in my mid-20s, is like being attracted to the chaos. You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
All women are crazy.
Okay, that's not nice though.
No, okay, listen. All women are crazy. There's just the type of crazy that like isn't necessarily that bad.
Yeah.
Or a guy would.
I think that where the nice guys get it wrong is they don't bring that to the table. And I don't think that you should be dating someone who's chaotic. But I think that it's a good thing and tell me if I'm wrong if you think that that's a red flag, but I think it's a good sign when the man every once in a while is a little unpredictable.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so
I think you have to feel like you have something to lose as the woman.
a good man that's gonna have like a good head on his shoulders isn't gonna just like stop dropping everything in his life to go hang out with this girl all the time, right? And if he's got something really going on in his own life, he doesn't have the time or the mental process to just be thinking about texting her all the time or calling her all the time and everything. So on the woman's perspective, that comes across like as a little bit mysterious.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if he's intentionally doing it, he's just a dirtbag.
Yeah.
Right?
Like if he actually is mysterious, like
Yeah.
doing sketchy.
Yeah. If he's intentionally doing it, like, oh, I'm not going to talk to her at all today because, like, I want her to chase me. Like, no, you're just a piece of right? But, like, if a guy's got, like, a good career going on, works out, has hobbies and friends and family, etc., like, all that considered, it takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So he's always has something to do.
Yeah.
Right? And he's not going to think about talking to you all the time until it gets to that point where, like, okay, this could be something serious. I'm going to make a conscious decision to start spending more time with her and putting more effort into it.
Yeah. Do you think that guys can, like, change? So, like, the nice guy can become more of the good man? So,
yeah, but
like,
you need to have a lot of self-awareness.
What needs to happen? Because being the nice guy, you're a good person. We're not talking about, like, the asshole here. We're talking about the guy who's a good person, but he's just a pushover. Mm-hmm. And he's not masculine enough. He's not whatever. So there's, like, room for growth there. But what needs to happen for those guys to change or grow up or whatever it is, man up?
He needs to have a lot of, like, self-awareness and be capable of, like, constantly evaluating himself as a person. So, like, if you're just sitting there, like, crying about your life sucks and you don't know why, well, that's, you're just going to be a nice guy forever, right? But, for example, earlier when we were talking about it, like, I went from what I thought I was a good man to a nice guy. Then I self-evaluated and figured out how that happened and why, and what can I do to prevent that from happening again. Then I switched lanes back to what I think I would be as a good man.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't know any different.
What was that lane switch? What actually, like, happened? What did you do for yourself?
Oh, I just stopped caring.
Stopped caring about her?
No, just, like, I stopped caring. I cared more. So before, I didn't care what anyone thought of me. And then in the middle of that, I started to care a little bit more. And then after that, I'm like, I don't care what anyone thinks of me, right? Because I'm extremely confident into the person who I know I am and what I'm capable of. And if you have a negative opinion about me, that probably speaks more volumes about what's going on with yourself. Because I don't have really any negative things to say about anybody. And if I do, I keep it to myself. Or if I do say it, I'm just poking fun. But that's just me.
So you kind of quit like people pleasing in a way.
Yeah, people pleasing, all that crap. Yeah.
What do the guys, speaking as a whole, in our society need to do within themselves to grow to be that good man that women want and that women can respect?
Okay, yeah. So first off, you need to have the self-awareness. 2, get in the gym, all right?
Yes.
Take care of yourself. When that's going to happen, your testosterone levels are going to increase naturally. And then your mind's going to think clearer. You're going to be naturally more dominant when it comes to all facets of life. And then you're going to start attracting women that, or just you just start attracting more women in general. And then hopefully by that point, you've set a good set of habits of you knew what your life was like when you were a nice guy and it sucked. And now you're a good man and you enjoy it and you never want to go back to that.
Yeah.
And men work off of momentum. So when you get a taste of that, like, okay, like I like this, my life is good, everything's going well, he wants to keep going harder. So he wants a better spot at work. He wants to take better care of his wife. He wants to work out harder. You know, it's a momentum thing. But it all starts with making a very conscious and fed up decision. Where like, I don't ever want to be like this anymore, and what can I do to change?
Yeah.
And if you're not capable of that, you're just going to be stuck in that rut forever.
Yeah.
And that's not a woman's responsibility to fix or even worry about. Just let that guy be. He'll figure it out if he wants to. And if he doesn't want to, and if he thinks he's a good man, then he's going to be stuck there forever.
Yeah. Do you think that women can change men? Like, do you think... Because I hear people say, and I don't know that I agree with this, but like when a man meets the right woman, he'll change. Or he'll be the right guy for the right woman. And like an example, do you watch Love is Blind?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. But there's a guy on this last season. His name is Clay. And he was like your typical like suave athlete. Swaggy, smooth talker. Okay. Of course, he was my favorite guy from day one. But so he was that, and the girl who had interest in him, her name is AD, and she said from the beginning, like, oh, this is the guy that I always typically go for, but I don't want to do that anymore. Like, it's burned me so many times. And she picks him. They get engaged. He, at the altar, says, no, I don't want to marry you. And because that's how the show works. You have to, like, get to the altar, and then you both say yes or no.
Okay.
But it's an actual wedding. Like, they go through the whole wedding process. It's really kind of messed up. So he leaves her at the altar, basically, is what happens.
Holy crap, okay.
And then they have the reunion, which is like about a year later. And they're sitting next to each other on the sofa, and he's saying, like, in tears, basically that he made a mistake, that she's the love of his life, that he's been putting in this work to be a better guy, going to therapy, all this stuff. So it made me question things, because it made me feel like she did change him. Like, she came into his life, and through a really messed up situation, he realized, I need to change and be better so I can be with her or somebody like her. But I'm like, how does that align if you also say that you can't change a man?
Okay, so I don't think a woman can change a man, but I think a woman can add to a man's life. So I think there was a part of that guy that you're speaking of that was probably already like that, and he realized that he made a mistake, and he
committed to it, right? I'm talking to somebody now where I asked her, like, hey, like, what motivates you in life or what gets you going? And she said Jesus. And I was like, holy crap, that's awesome. And she goes, she's been strong in her faith for like 10 years or whatever. But when she asked me that, I didn't say that. So I started thinking like, okay, this is someone that can like, I'm not, I'm going to church as much as I can. It's almost every Sunday, but she's going a lot more and she reads scripture. I don't read as much as her. But if I know that she's doing that, I need to step my game up and I need to be doing it more than her. So she's adding to my life. Does that make sense?
Adding value.
Value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she needs to either be doing just as much as me, but in reality, I need to be doing more than her.
Yeah.
Because I need to be leading by example.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that situation, there was probably a part of him that was already like that, and she added value to it and saw that the value was there and he committed. But if you're,
He was a little too late.
I guess so, yeah. Did they end up getting married or no?
No.
Oh, that was too late.
Yeah, they broke up because she didn't. After he said no at the whole altar thing, she was like, "There's no going back. Like, we're not just gonna go back to like dating each other." And she's heartbroken. She's mortified. I get all that. But they also asked her on the reunion, "Would you ever get back together with him?" And she said, "Next question." She didn't. So she didn't say no. Like, I think the door's still open there. But she's probably. I mean, obviously, she doesn't trust him. I wouldn't either. Like, he would have. That's going to take a lot of time to prove that he has changed.
Yeah, it's already dead and gone. Like, because
It's very tainted,
she's
yeah.
lost trust and respect for him. It's in the beginning of the relationship, in the dating phase or whatever. Like, you're not saving a marriage. You're saving something where there's nothing even there to begin with.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, I think that's facade. Like, God forbid she gets back with him, some other stuff is going to start happening. That's just who he is, right? So, yeah, to answer your question, like, you can't change a guy. If your dude's like 300 pounds on the couch and you want him to be physically fit, then no.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility. And it's also like why do girls want to change guys? Like,
You asking me?
oh, speaking for your audience, I guess, too.
I mean, I think that's a loaded question. There's a lot of reasons, like, can depend on the person. But speaking generally, we have this tendency to see the potential in the guy, even if he doesn't see his own potential. So we see what he could be. And I think that that's hardwired in us because I think our part of our purpose is to elevate his life. Behind every good man is a great woman. That's part of our role.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Elevate him. And so we see that, like, if we see where, like, kind of the holes are in his life, we see how we can fill the holes for him to elevate him to where he should be and wants to be. But in reality, you can't want that for someone. They have to want it. He has to also say, I want you to elevate me in my life. He has to want that nurturing, that help. But we don't want to hear that. It's just, I don't know. I think especially once you get attached to the guy too, you don't want to lose him.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other conversation of attachment. But, like, once you're in it, you don't want to lose it. So you just think, how can I, if I can get him to where he wants to be and show him how much value I can add to his life, then he won't leave me.
Yeah, I get it because I have a bad habit of, like, falling in love with potential, right? Like, oh, wow, this could be really awesome and I'm really excited about it. Like, you check all my boxes per se. But then it's like, you're not actually that person, though. I created an image of what I want you to be in my mind, but that's not who you are as a person.
Right.
Right? So I guess women do that too.
Yeah. Part of that's like I said, there's a lot of reasons, but I think generally that's how we are, because that if that is how we are, if that's hardwired, that actually serves a really good purpose. Because, like I said,
Yeah.
as a wife, that makes you somebody who always has his back to help elevate him or whatever it is that he needs. You are that. If he needs a shoulder to cry on, if he needs some advice, if he needs motivation, if he needs reassurance, like if he needs somebody to give him a pep talk before some big presentation, like you are that. But you can't be that to somebody who doesn't want it, thinking that you're going to transform him into that person.
Yeah.
Some women are smart enough to know better. Me, I learned the hard way. I'm the same way. I'm like,
Hence why we're doing a dating podcast.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You got me brainstorming over here.
I think I know your answer to this, but do you think that nice guys finishing last being a true statement is a problem? Do you think that's problematic, like within the dating culture? Or do you think that it's a good thing?
Well, kind of like you said earlier, like all women are attracted to masculine and dominant men. Like it's just reality. Like no one looks at a guy that's in really great shape and has a really great career and
It's like, ew.
yeah, exactly. Right? What girl says that?
So
So
if they do, they've got some messed up
yeah,
stuff.
you're probably a lesbian. So yeah, so but at the same time, not all guys can be like that.
No?
Like it's like in building a company. Not everyone is gonna have a killer that has like an 80% closing ratio and is gonna sell everything, right?
Right.
There's roles to fill in the company, just like there's roles to fill in society. So
Yeah, that's a
I
good
think-
point, because there's also men who are, everyone's on a spectrum, male and female, of feminine and masculine. Some women are more masculine, you're tomboys. Some men are more feminine, you're Broadway stars.
yeah,
That doesn't mean she's a lesbian all the time. That doesn't always mean that he's gay. That's
Right.
just who they are. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't mean that the straight guy that's also a Broadway star can't be a good man, right?
yeah. Well, I think he can be a good man to his wife, but I naturally think that if you're a pushover, you're just awaiting conflict to happen inevitably at some point in your life. Because the world is going to see you, bad people are going to see you as somebody who's not going to be a threat if you want to take advantage of that person. Whether that's robbing the house or, going after that guy's wife, like in a intimate manner, whatever. Like if you're just a nice guy, you're not a threat to any of those things, right? You may be like a good husband to your wife, but I don't feel like you're going to do anything past that. I don't think you're going to protect your family. I think you're leaving the door open for your wife to fool around on you with other guys that are more dominant or
Yeah.
or could better be a better partner.
Yeah.
You're leaving the door open for someone to come in and take harm to your family. Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish every guy in the world was in shape and,
I do too.
led their family.
Especially around here. Fattest city in the country. Seriously, that makes it, if you're somebody like me and physical fitness, I don't care if it sounds shallow, is like top 3 most important things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Houston is a hard place to date. It really is. We are the fattest city in the country. And I understand why. We also have the #1 food scene. We also don't walk anywhere. We have to drive everywhere.
Right.
Everyone's corporate America. I get it. I get the why, but that's not an excuse. But that's the culture of where we live. So guys just think it's okay. Because why not? Most of them, they don't have competition. There's a very small percentage in as far as the ratio that are like top tier in shape. And those guys, a lot of the time, just become douchebags because they can.
Yeah, look, when I say like physically fit, like you don't got to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was 20, right?
No,
Like,
you could.
I mean, you could, but like spending that amount, because I was doing that, and the amount of time that I spent doing that, like, I didn't have time for anything else,
Oh
really.
yeah, that's gonna consume your life.
Exactly. So, but what I mean by like physically fit is like someone that works out at least like 4 to 5 times, 6 times a week, right? Eats healthy, is capable of running a couple of miles if they have to, doing some sport, some sort of like jujitsu or defense, whatever, to protect your family if necessary. Yeah, but you don't got to look like a freaking Greek god by any means, you know?
It's preferred, but not required.
Is it preferred?
For me, yes. But okay, I'm the minority in that. A lot of girls actually don't
Well, okay.
prefer that because it makes them feel insecure or like lesser.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's, I know I'm not speaking for most people on that.
so so speaking on that, if you are really attracted to the guy that's completely like diced up and everything and is in super immaculate shape, you don't think about all the other stuff that he's sacrificing in life to look like that maybe would take away from the experience of what y'all would have in a relationship.
I mean, I would never date a bodybuilder.
Okay.
I have, and that's the problem. They don't. First of all, that consumes their whole life, which is annoying, like what you're saying. And second of all, they can't have any fun. You can't just go on vacation randomly if it's during their whatever cycle, whatever. You can't. It's just I wouldn't do that. But you can also you can have a six pack and big biceps and not be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely takes a certain like level of athleticism and knowledge and consistency. I mean, you know all this.
Yeah.
But part of what's attractive about that to me is because I do know how much discipline that takes, and that's attractive to me to have that.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
A man who looks like that, especially when you're in your 30s, 40s, that's the age we're at now, that takes a lot of discipline and a lot of dedication and a lot of like saying no to things that are temporarily satisfying, whether it be food or drinking or partying or lounging, whatever. And a guy who has that level of discipline, that's where the real attraction is.
Yeah, and it also shows that like he's capable of committing to something, right? Like committing to a relationship. Relationship takes work.
Yeah.
It takes discipline. It takes time out of your day to do things that like are typically seen as uncomfortable, but you have to do it to get to the goal that you want.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And a guy who like just parties all the time or just chooses to not work out, to me that's the most unattractive thing you can do, because in my mind, you don't have enough respect for your own self to like the way you look in the mirror. So why would I respect you? You don't have enough respect for yourself to get your ass up and go to the gym and put down the fast food. How am I going to respect you? That's the way I look at it.
No, 100%.
And if I was doing the same thing, I don't think I deserve to be respected.
Yeah, 100%.
It's obviously you give grace. You're going to go through things like get sick, get the flu, get depressed. I mean, it happens. But I'm talking like big picture, you know, in the long term. I think they say only 5% of people will actually consistently work out through their whole life.
That's a sad statistic. Yeah.
I believe it though.
And people, like, this is going to sound shallow, but people like that breed. And then their sons and daughters are going to be like that. And then those kids breed.
They do, but they're having trouble breeding, I will say that. With the low testosterone and women
That's
having
true.
hormone issues. So, just got some natural selection there.
Yeah.
So, on that note, the perfect kind of combination for most women, I think, is what you're saying. So, like, you have those masculine and dominant traits where we want that. We're attracted to that. I think we've established that. But we also want someone who, like, has a heart, someone who's sensitive, someone who knows how to express their emotions and talk about emotional things and will cry every once in a while. Like, we want that. It can't be too far one way or the other.
Yeah.
So do you think that that's uncommon among single men? Like that perfect combination? I don't know how often you cry, but you kind of are that. One of the reasons I chose this topic for you, you're kind of that like happy medium.
Well, when have you seen me cry?
That's why I said I don't know how often you cry.
Yeah, I plan it like once a week. It's typically around this time, but I had to reschedule it. No.
But you're not going to shy away from like having a serious conversation or talk about
No.
emotional things.
Yeah. So like me specifically, like I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? So I'm like not scared to talk about emotional things. You know, like, yeah, I cry, but when I cry, it's like some serious stuff of like some of my friends passing away, right? In the military, you know, suicide rate's pretty high. I've had some friends commit suicide that I knew from high school, stuff like that, right? Or like, obviously, I cried when I broke up with my fiance, and it wasn't just
Yeah.
like stone faced, right?
Yeah.
The part I guess I struggle with is I don't want anyone to see that part of me.
Anyone?
Yeah. And I'm happy to do it once I fully like know and can trust like my wife, because I see it as like this is gonna sound like some real trust issues thing here, but like you could somehow use that against me if you needed to.
How so?
Well, actually, how about this? So, in my opinion, women are naturally attracted to like, right, dominant, masculine, etc. And when you cry, it shows like a sign of weakness per se. I guess it just depends on what you're crying about. Yeah, I just
That's
went around a
true.
whole freaking wheel of fortune there.
I just saw you think it the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it depends on what you're crying about, right?
Because it's not a sign of weakness. And I'll be the first to say, I used to think that. Like, and there's still a little part of me that gets really uncomfortable when guys cry. And I think it's just because I never saw my dad cry.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's a very mellow, like very, like doesn't yell, like very calm, cool, collected. But that also means he doesn't show his emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that generation did have that kind of instilled in them of like, don't ever let someone see you cry for the men. So maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know. But I did kind of used to think that was like an ick. And it's not. It's not a sign of weakness. Being able to show your vulnerable side to other people is really a sign of strength, because that takes courage to do that.
I realized this the past couple of days, but like before I really wouldn't care. Like if I guess I shed a tear or two, like in front of someone that was like close to me about something, but now like I'm a little bit more scared about it.
Yeah.
You know, because the vulnerability factor is a scary thought now.
Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you're cried when Godzilla died, you know, then you're probably a freaking weirdo.
Like you cry in every romance movie.
Yeah, if you cry during The Notebook, dude, you need to go hit the gym or do something with your hormones. But you know, it's okay to cry if like your brother dies, your dad dies,
Right.
you know, something that's, you know, if anything, it kind of looks shallow if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but don't be coming home every week like crying to your wife. Then she's gonna be like, I'm married to a you
And I
know?
have another child.
Huh?
Or like I have
Oh
another
yeah, I
child.
got a child to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that kind of answers the question that it is sort of uncommon because I think most guys, and granted, we're in the South, so you have to take that into consideration. That's probably not necessarily the norm
Yeah.
everywhere.
There's more tough love down here.
Yeah.
For sure.
And more of that sort of like ideology that crying is a sign of weakness. But just so y'all know, we do want that. We need that sensitivity. It shows that we can trust that you're not just like some like dictator robot. I don't know. It's important in a relationship that I'm not saying that you need to cry all the time, but being also a sensitive person, having a sensitive side as a man is very important.
You can still show sensitivity to your wife without crying.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That was just one of the traits I was saying.
What are the other ones?
Honest, loyal, honest, and sensitive, in combination with being masculine and dominant, is like.
Well, honesty and loyalty, that's just like a staple.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, it's not like recommended or like a choice. Like that needs to be there no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? It's like no one's gonna buy a car with no tires on it.
I think it's just you have these. If one end of the spectrum is the bad boy, who is masculine and dominant, but not honest, loyal, and sensitive. The other end of the spectrum is the nice guy, who's not masculine and dominant, and is very honest, loyal, and sensitive. Mm-hmm. What we want and need is right smack in the middle, or somewhere in the mid-range. Right. But that feels uncommon among single men right now. And maybe that's just my perception.
Well, maybe that like you don't get close enough to a guy in the dating process to where he's going to show that side of him.
Maybe.
It's the same thing as like a girl farting in front of a guy, right? Like that's like the, all right, got real, right?
Yeah.
When a guy cries in front of a girl, okay, got real.
Yeah.
We're in this now. Like you saw every single part of me. You know?
Yeah.
That's the way I would see it.
So what are some tips for women looking for that type of guy? Like
what type of guy?
That guy who's the middle, happy medium, in between those two extremes. Like what kind of person does that look like?
First off, like I think that
you're like, let me just describe myself.
No, you're gonna also, I think like you're gonna attract like what you are sort of in a sort of situation. I'm trying to get away from that for myself because I know I can be a wild child, and I'm trying to get away from like women that aren't necessarily too good for me. But like in the dating process, if you can be as like forward and honest and set expectations as like what you expect from a man, and he should be doing the same with you.
Yeah.
And if those expectations like aren't being met, then like don't fold or don't like erase that part of it. Like no, you have expectations of what you need as an individual, and if you don't meet those, then it's just not going to work out. It's just that simple. Yeah. On to the next. Yeah.
Very logically spoken, like a man. I'm like looking for some like mysterious answer of like, what are we not seeing? What are we missing? But you're like, no, it's just, it is what it is.
It's very, look.
Just don't compromise on it.
Everyone makes everything so complicated. It is very simple. Yeah, everything.
Guys are simple.
Very simple.
Do you think that this concept goes both ways? Do you think nice women finish last?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Who's the one that's still trying to talk to me? She's really nice. It's just like, it's just not, it's not because she's nice, but it's just not going to work out. Just, I don't want to talk about it if she watches this, but yeah, it's just not going to work out. But she's really nice, and she's not like, man, how do I describe this? She's just not be your person,
Yeah.
you know, like be you. I like people,
Be someone.
yeah, yeah, like that railroad sign on 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, be someone, be H-Town, be
Yeah.
and be unapologetically yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't give you an excuse to like be a B word, you know,
Yeah.
but just be unapologetically yourself, and then the right person is going to come to you and fit with you naturally, right? But if you're like kind of tiptoeing around, playing games, or sort of like pretending to be somebody that you're not initially, then that's gonna whatever you're pretending to be is you're gonna attract that person.
Well, and it's gonna fall apart because that doesn't. You can't.
Yeah,
You can only
absolutely.
pretend for so long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it because the nice girl to me is like it's a little bit different than a nice guy. It's like the simple girl. So the girl that grew up in a good house with mom and dad, they're not chaotic. Just a good family. She's pretty, but not too pretty. She has a regular job. Maybe she's a teacher or works in an office or just a regular job. She's not out there hustling. Um, she's nice. People might describe her as sweet. And from what I have seen, they finish first in the regard that they are probably married with kids right now.
Ooh.
And
Actually, you know what? That I think you're right. So, like, I think in a man's eyes, that would look more feminine to a guy because she's already fitting that mold of like someone that could be capable of raising good kids, being a sweet and caring person. But if you're on a Natalie spectrum where like you kind of call the shots and you might have a little bit of harder time of giving up the control stick. Guys that are like 30, 31, 32 or whatever, they might not want to have to deal with that. But then again, I don't think there's a lot of sweet girls left in this world. Yeah.
there's not. No, there's not.
No. So I think what you described is like, I don't think I've ever met her.
Really.
Yeah. I think between
Went
like,
to college with a lot of them.
well, where are they at now?
Still in Arkansas.
So-
Eating housewife. Working at
Okay,
Walmart.
yeah, so they're taken. They're not on the market.
No. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So maybe
So,
that's why I've never met 'em.
Obviously, like, and we kind of established that early on, like, you have to define what does it mean to finish last. But, you know, as much as I love my life, that's the piece that's missing. You could say the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people who have that and have had it for a while, it's the nice girl. That's just
Okay,
the way
so
the
what
cookie
would you
crumbles.
define the difference between a nice girl and a good woman?
What's the difference?
Yeah. So I described what a nice guy is and a good man.
Yeah.
What's a nice girl and a good woman?
I don't think that they're related. I don't think you have to be a nice girl in order to be a good woman. I think I'm a very good woman, but I wouldn't describe myself as that picture of a nice girl. I think the biggest difference is going to be whether or not she has her own life. So a good woman, both of them are going to be honest. They're going to be a good wife. They're going to be loyal to you. They're going to have good morals. We're not talking about the other end of the spectrum. But the difference between the two is the nice, sweet girl is just that. That's where it ends. There's not much more to her. She doesn't have all of these big dreams or goals. She doesn't.
She's just a sweet, caring, pretty girl.
Yeah, her contentment lies in being a good wife and a good mother and a good friend and a good daughter. And that's it. So that makes for a real easy life. And I think that's why that's attractive. That doesn't add a lot of burden to the man. But a good woman has wants more out of life. Like I want everything. I want success. I want family. I want kids. I want to see the world. I want to travel. I want to have like reach my big dreams. But I also want to be a good wife and a good mother and a good daughter and a good friend. I want all those things. And that's a lot for me by myself, but that's a lot to add to a man's plate, especially if he is also that type of man that wants all those things too. Because then it's just there's going to be a lot more give and take in the relationship.
I mean, not really. I mean, if he wants to do all those things too, y'all just do them together.
I mean, that's ideal, but when it actually plays out in real life, I mean, there's just a lot that goes into that dynamic.
Like what?
Like competition. I mean, he
Oh,
has to
yeah.
be real secure and genuinely supportive of
So-
what she wants and does.
Do you think that men get insecure with a woman's success?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. But not
That's interesting.
everyone, but as a general statement, yes. For sure.
That's interesting.
And I think it's also more of a vulnerable spot for them because it is more evident that I don't need them. I don't need you to provide, but I want you to. I don't need you to take care of me, but I want to be taken care of. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to stick around because of that.
Yeah.
But a nice girl that's a stay-at-home mom,
Oh,
what
yeah.
option does she have?
No, I see what you're saying.
That really builds a man's ego to know that she needs me.
No, but me specifically, I would rather have a girl that doesn't need me, but consciously chooses to be with me. Because otherwise, she could just be with you because she needs you, or else, like, she's not going to survive.
Yeah.
You know? But you're capable of completely being on your own.
Have you ever dated somebody like that?
No, actually, I don't think so. Maybe my second engagement, towards the end, the second half of the relationship, yeah. But in the beginning, she, like, yeah,
I mean, she was a teacher, or is a teacher.
is. Yeah.
So she...
But she wasn't.
No, I'm not putting her into the mold of, like, the nice girl.
Oh,
But as
okay.
far as what we're talking about right now with, like, the providing and needing, she does fit that.
Yeah.
You know, her success was never going to compete with yours.
No. No. No, I was making more money for sure. But
And you just have more room for, like, goals and building and chasing your dreams than somebody who's just teaching until they retire.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she could have this is an interesting dynamic because, like, she became a teacher and started actually making, like, decent money, like, while we were already together for quite a long time, right? But if I were to meet someone who, like, was a teacher and had her own apartment already and was completely self-sufficient, then I think that's more attractive to a guy. Because otherwise, you're just kind of be like a needy, like, leech. Wow, that was really bad. Yeah, you're just gonna be like super needy.
I would be interested to see if you feel the same if you actually dated somebody who was a very dominant person.
You can
'Cause
still.
in theory, I think it does. I think most men would say in theory it sounds good, but in practice, I think it's harder than you think it is. So let's make up a scenario. Let's say we're together, and tomorrow our podcast goes viral, and I become a superstar, I become the next Alex Cooper, and you, from going viral, get a few nice deals at Adam's Roofing, and you just continue what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I become multimillionaire podcaster. How do you feel about that?
I would be so happy for you.
You wouldn't feel threatened. You
No.
wouldn't feel insecure.
As long as you kept, like, your you didn't change as a person, but like if you're strong in your morals, values, and your faith, it doesn't matter if you're making $100 million or $10. You should still be the same person. You're just busier and have more responsibilities.
Yeah. And you don't think that that busyness, which will take time away from you, would make you feel like less important?
No, I mean, like I could imagine a scenario where, because I'm going to be just as busy, right? I mean, I'm always busy. Work is really important to me. But I think if we don't start taking that step back to be like, all right, I need to put things to a side every now and then to work on spending time together, then yeah, I might feel like a way about it. But it's not because you're successful. It's just because you have to see your husband or your wife every now and then,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. How would you feel if I wanted to go take a month-long trip to Europe and you can't afford that? So I say, well, I'm just going to pay for both of us.
Tight. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, guys get mad about that?
I don't know if mad is the right word.
Well, they just like
but feel some type of way about it for sure. Yeah.
shit.
And I don't know that well, some of them would probably say it directly, but I think it's more so it just starts to chip away at their ego, and that then affects the relationship.
Yeah. I think like during that time, a guy should still be trying to like work on his career and everything. Because ideally, I would like to retire you, right? But I'm not going to feel threatened or like a type of way if you're paying a trip to Europe or whatever. Yeah.
That's good. I don't know. I'm still navigating that. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm not sure that guys really know where they stand either because a lot of it's new. I mean, a lot of this, the way that we're dating now it's not the way it was for our parents. So we're kind of figuring it out as we go because we have these single millennials that everybody's working, men and women are working, and so it's pretty much a level playing field as far as money goes. And that's all really a new thing with our generation.
Yeah.
Um, that would have back in our parents' day. That was almost never the case.
Well, nowadays well, your parents' days there wasn't social media.
Yeah, that's another topic.
Yeah, you met your wife at church or through like, you know,
Friends or
Bob's dad or uncle down the road met Sally from the other side of the street.
that's more like grandparents. Like
Oh yeah, but
yeah.
nowadays there's social media, there's dating apps, and also I think
Five, 10 years ago, I couldn't go out, and I'm no like Megan Fox, okay? But I'm an attractive person with an outgoing personality out in at bars or wherever.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I do. I mean, then again, like I'm purposely wasn't trying to like talk to any girls because of the time that I needed to commit to.
So I have
Wait,
very mixed
they own the
feelings.
company, or they just have a dating app on their
No,
phone?
no, they own the company. They own the app.
Oh.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time.